Renee Noor. I'm Renee Noor, model, creative director, founder of Global Women Wealth Warriors, Wellness Hub, and GW3 magazine. I dedicated my life and devoted my career into helping women and girls to achieving their goals. I've been passionate about empowering women and enriching men. This opportunity in working with the Global Women Wealth Warriors have afforded me the pleasure of traveling outside of the country to be a support unit, most importantly, to help impact and change lives. Our ultimate purpose is to help others to become whole from finance, spiritual, mental, as well as physical. We know there are challenges and obstacles to get you to the next level. However, it's time for you to level up, boss up, and welcome to Power to Soar.
Absolutely. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Guys, I am Renee Noor. This is GW3 Live. It's all about business after dark, and it is Winning Wednesday. And have we not had an incredible day? Earlier, we kick-started right there in the entire clubhouse. It was nonstop. I like to say again, thank you to one of our amazing millennials, Miss Me for Me, who was dropping the mic when it came down to talking about marketing, as well as how your brand should look and be respected in the industry. My goodness. In addition to that, I'd just like to say thank you for being here. We have so much gratitude in our heart because one of the greatest things with the GW3 tribe, we want to make sure you are winning in all levels of life. And that's why we bring it to you with our Business After Dark. Not only am I grateful that we have an incredible show that's lined up today. Not only are we going to be talking about NFTs, we're going to be talking about the whole new cryptocurrency. Later on, we're going to talk about our health and our wellness. Plus, we'll be closing out talking about relationships. That's right, relationships. Right now, everybody is blowing up my phone. Oh my goodness, that's always happens whenever it's time for me to go live, but that's okay. That's one of the greatest things we have right now. Guys, our guest is going to be joining us, and if you're not watching us on YouTube or Instagram, I highly encourage you to do so. The guest that I have that's going to be joining us, not only did we meet right there in the clubhouse, but one of the greatest things about this amazing platform called the Clubhouse, it has been able to bring incredible relationships together. This giant here, he's all about the NFT. He's all into the future of where not only technology is taking us, he's an architect, he's a designer, he's a developer, and most importantly, he's a man that's ahead of time. I just came back from Dubai, and I truly admired how fast, how forward they are with technology. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring up the man himself, Mr. Phil. Come on, Phil. You're all the way over there on the West Coast. How are you doing, my friend? How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
It's so nice seeing you. It's great, when we're able to put faces and voices together. Yeah. And oh my goodness, I'm grateful that we're here this afternoon, this evening. For you, it's the afternoon, but for us, it's evening time. So how have you been, the transition about Clubhouse, how has it been for you, Phil?
It's been great. It's been wonderful. Clubhouse has been an avenue for the silent to finally speak up. It's been an opportunity for people to discover that their problems, they're not struggling alone. You have people who are going through the same thing, and in real time, you can get answers right there. So it's wonderful.
That makes what you said is so true. We were so connected with Facebook, right? And then even we're connected even with Instagram. But what I truly love about Clubhouse, the voice has truly transformed so many others' lives. And I'm grateful that you and I was connected on that stage, thanks to Mr. Jarrett, because if you didn't speak up, I wouldn't have known anything about you and vice versa, right?
Yeah, that's also a problem in Clubhouse. The speaking up is something a lot of people struggle with because for a long time we've been taught to really focus on what other people think about us. And we think so much about it that, you start having anxiety, or, you start feeling uncomfortable. So a lot of people don't come up, even though they're gifted, they don't. But one thing about Clubhouse, they eventually do. That's the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah, I think what it is, they have to find their comfort zone. And one of the things, even when I first came on the app, Phil, I'll be honest, I didn't know what to be expected. It's like they want me to come up to speak. I'm like, what do they want me to talk about?
Yeah.
And I think it's just that learning curve.
Yeah.
But you're right. Once you get the hang of it, it's like the game changer. Because right now, this app is for me. I guess it's gone on a year and a half now. And it's just been so phenomenal to be able to connect with so many great relationships. One of the things I would say, I want us to talk about, right now, we are seeing a whole new different world. The economy is I don't know if it's on the right side or on the left side, but one thing I know for sure, we are in the most fast paced learning area possible. I want to jump right into it, because on our Winning Wednesday, not only do we talk about wealth, we talk about how to become sustainable in this space, but at the same token, looking for other streams of income to also help us in bridging the gap within that financial literacy space. Now,
Yeah.
you, my friend, I met you right there on the stage, and you were dropping some serious bombs, and not bombs, but knowledge bombs when it came
Yeah.
down to the NFTs, as well as just a whole new currency. Can you kind of like go into what is it that you are experiencing based upon your industry? How did you first get into the space? And also, kind of like, first, let's start there. How did you get into this whole new space, this world of cryptocurrency, NFTs, and, give us a little bit more insight of what it is that we're dealing with, anyways.
So one thing you have to remember is you have to first of all figure out where you are in terms of technology. First of all, are you an early adopter? Are you the kind of person who wants to go to look at something before it's fully developed? Or are you the kind of person who wants something that's done, ready, crystal, like completely done? They've done all the adjustments, and they're ready to sell? Or are you the one who just doesn't want to engage in any tech? For me, I like to see what's new. I like to, get something even if it's not fully complete. I like to experiment with that stuff. So for me, it was easy to get into even Clubhouse or NFTs as soon, and that was a good year for me, because that was the year of yes. So a couple of years ago, maybe 2 years from that point, I was like saying yes to everything. So when it came to Clubhouse, I just said yes. So getting into the rooms, I was yes. Until today, I just say yes. So the beautiful thing about saying yes is you'll say yes to so many things, especially in business, and you'll eventually be getting projects and identifying opportunities. And those opportunities will give you leverage. So now you'll be able to sit back and now assess on which yes really makes sense. And then you make the right decision. And then you can go forward with the right decision while you're saying yes, and open yourself to opportunities. That's the key.
I like what you say, opening yourself up to opportunities. Opportunities. One of my amazing mentors, which is Sir Richard Branson, opportunities are literally everywhere, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes we don't really have to understand all of those opportunities, but you definitely want to say yes. Even
Yes.
if you don't truly understand something, learn it. Learn it, and that gives you the opportunity to really understand what's going on. I notice a lot of people, when they even heard some of those weird names, foreign exchange market or even cryptocurrency, they were
Yeah.
like, oh, that's not for me. Oh, that's just so not for me. Have you
Yeah.
heard that also?
Of course. Yeah. It's
Mhm.
very natural. If you're not used to, if you're comfortable, so the mind is always comfortable or wants to be comfortable. You go to the gym, there's resistance because you're uncomfortable. Um, and it's those things that prevent people from actually making waves, because you haven't taught your mind that the true gifts come from being uncomfortable. The true gifts come, you want to do something. Like I had a situation where I was in Texas. I had social anxiety. I couldn't get out of the house, and I, just went online because I knew information was free on YouTube. I just found an audiobook on social anxiety on YouTube. So I read the book, and every day I started taking long walks around the neighborhood. And 6 months from that point of making that decision, I just made friends with the whole entire town, the whole entire block that I was walking. So it's those things. If I didn't make that decision or take the courage to do that, then you'll not experience those things.
You're absolutely correct. Even my mom used to say, always be willing to attempt to do something at least one time.
Yeah.
If you give yourself the opportunity to learn at least one time, at least to say, well, you know what? I've experienced it. Like I say, I've been there, I've done that, you're right. But at least you can have that experience for yourself. Now, one of the things when we were speaking, Phil, right now we see a shift when it comes down to currency. And
Yeah.
you're right. The mind is so familiar with just one way. And what we have to realize is all about a belief system. Because when you think about it, now what we look at as a dollar, how do we know it's really a dollar, right? How do we know these are really worth $5 or $10? It's just because it's a belief system. And that's one of the things we had to educate others on, even with the whole cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin. Kind of like share with us, where does all of this come from? Kind of like give us a breakdown, how money even originated.
Yeah, I'm going to be really quick. So money is a debt tracking system. So what it does is when you use money, you're effectively trading debt that you own from someone or the bank or the government or an exchange. But to go way back in history, there's an explorer in the from America. His name was William Henry Furness the third. He arrived in this remote island of the Yep. The Yep, if you can Google that, they just Google Yep, Yep money, and it was in the last century. And he found, you know, a few inhabitants that were staying there, and they had these huge rocks around their homes, and they didn't really know what that was in the beginning. But once they started really doing proper research or just analyzing what's going on, those big round boulders with holes in them represented money and wealth. And whoever had the most was the wealthiest. So they used that for marriage and for, exchange of products and stuff. And they actually believe that's the place where the money system started in that community. And some of those things are up to 12 feet in diameter, big. So they're really big, big boulders. And those represents the value of money. But over the years, you have to look at the human society. We started as gifts, exchanging gifts to each other, from different territories. And those gifts eventually changed. And then people started bartering because people wanted specific things. And then as the society, language became more advanced and people started developing socially, they established metal currency. And the reason why they did that is because because you're running out of those goods and services, you had to create some way of trust. And the metal currency was introduced. You can see the conquistadors went to South America to mine silver, and they had a problem. Once the silver didn't have any value, and paper money started coming in, then they're already in debt. Like the way money works, the debt is to take those people in those communities and go there and do the mining and then come back. But over the years, then gold became something in circulation. But the problem is not everybody can have gold. There's just not so much that's out there. Then, of course, the introduction of issuing treasury, the government issued paper money, which absolutely has no value, but it's backed by the government, which gives it value. And that has now transitioned. But now we're in the age of the digital currency, which is a new form of exchange, way more easier way of exchange, a more verified way of exchange. And that is where we're headed right now. We want if you borrow money, you want to know that where the money is going. You want to track the money. You want to know that the money went to whoever who you had an agreement with. Those kind of things are really powerful. And those are the things that are undeniable when it comes to how money is transforming our lives right now.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, wonderful, wonderful way of breaking that down. Like you said, you was very quick about it, but you went right and hit the bullet points, and I appreciate that. Where we are right now, we're not only having to embrace this next wave of new currency and really just getting comfortable with it. Believe it or not, I realize still a lot of people don't want to get comfortable with change. And
Yeah.
we know change is inevitable. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, change is tough because one of the things that's tough about change is you have to become someone else. That's the fear. You have to let go of, you've built monuments in your life. Like that's how pretty much it is. As you grow, you build structures that protect you in social structures, interaction with people. You've built like walls that protect you. So when something happens, you're like, of course, I have this thing that will help me resist some of those things. But when you require to change, you have to destroy those things and build anew. And the fact you have to the doing that is one of the things that prevents people from changing. But if you don't change now, then you will have to change the hard way eventually in the future.
You're right about that. If we don't take responsibility of learning
Yeah.
where our new currency is going, you're going to either become the change
Yeah.
or just enjoy the change. And I'm glad that we're enjoying the change. I know you've
Right.
been into this whole new crypto space. I probably got in 2017, and you were way ahead of me in that space because as an engineer, I know how smart you guys are.
I think that's another misconception. We have to remember
Okay.
those documents don't really mean anything. It's
Okay.
the people who actually go beyond the documents, the people who actually keep learning. Those are the guys who really change the world. This is why a lot of successful people, they're always looking for information. They're always looking. There's always something, because whatever you learned yesterday becomes obsolete. Whatever I learned, I can tell you right now, the stuff that I learned, the way I learned it doesn't apply today. It doesn't make sense. Right now technology has changed. Right now, in the past, you needed like 7 8 people to do a regular house. Someone does the windows, someone does the doors, someone focuses on the floor finishes, someone does the roof and maybe the roof design. But technology now, you only are reduced to just one person can do the entire house, and it can take them a week depending on their skills, a week or 2 weeks. You can design an entire house, and it's the same building that you're using. You can give that model, which is a 3D model, give it to the electrical engineer to put his electrical stuff in the model. And then you have the mechanical engineer take the same model to put his stuff. And then you have the structural engineer to put his structural members. And 4 people could finish a big house, a big structure, 4 to 5, depending on the scales of the requirements. And the beautiful thing is, while all those people work in the model, you can identify where pipes are going. If the pipe is going to the door, you'd be like, hey, your pipe is going to my door, please fix that. You can fix it in real time. That relationship between different industries in one program, that's the future. And you have less people doing complicated, complex things, which is what, going back to what I was telling you initially, the people who know how to use the technology are the ones who are gonna be employed or be working in the future, because they know how to use the tech. They can express themselves more. But if you don't have the tech, you can't really tell a story. Can't really do your whatever you need to do, because the computer is overtaking the basic stuff, the monotonous stuff. Nowadays, you don't need a text. You just speak on your car. Hello, I'm coming. It says, is that correct? Yes, it is. And then you send. Can I send it now? Yeah, send it. Or you can. There's an app right now that has come out that you can dictate emails. and it adjusts the emails for you. It's an AI system, and it's even in the last one here is I went to an office and there was no receptionist. There was just a screen, and you just talk and hey, can I talk to Peter? It goes to Peter's screen and hey, Peter, can I come? Are you available to talk? Peter says on the screen, yep. Then you can walk in. It's it's a different, it's tech. It's a different world that's coming. And if you're not prepared, meaning if you're not really learning about these things, then you'll be afraid. And when fear comes in, then you make the wrong decisions. When you make the wrong decisions, you lose a lot of money, or you lose opportunities, and you get discouraged. So, yeah.
Phil, you have like given me so many ahas, as well as just really checking off different squares, because like you said, how calming you sound. We think always the book, book knowledge, people with the book knowledge is not really the key. It's the ones who does the application to
Yeah.
be able to understand the process. And I think that's the key. Sometimes even in this clubhouse rooms, we are in there many times, many hours. And
Yeah.
if we listen to things over and over again, that's one thing. But if you don't take any action,
Yeah.
if you don't take any action, it's just like wasted knowledge. It's
Oh
really
yeah.
wasted knowledge.
If you don't act, it's painful. One thing I tell myself every time I pick up a book, I tell myself, because the subconscious needs to hear this. I tell the subconscious, I say, I'm going to learn something from this book. And even if you're reading it and you're not really understanding, and it's like, oh, this is boring. One thing I know that I learned from my mentor is you have to finish it, even if you don't like it. And also try reading very difficult books. And if you can't read it, try listening to difficult books. In Japan, when kids go to the next grade, when they sit down, they get the hardest questions first, really tough questions. And of course, it's tough, and you're not going to make it, but the effort on trying to do something difficult, it paves way for the next question, which is the easiest stuff. And you'll be like, oh, this is no big deal. I can do this. And, it helps you get ready for the difficult stuff. So the idea of reading even tough books, or listening now, which is audiobook, you listen to really difficult books like History of Economics, if you haven't done that, or John, is it not John Adams? Uh, is this economics guy? I'll remember.
Okay, you remember, because you're going to come back. You already know you're coming back. I'm letting you know right now. This is just phase one with Phil, but I will share this with you, Phil, because we are readers. We have a book club, and even during the pandemic, we read over 12 books as a group. We just finished rereading Think and Grow Rich, and I like what you said about that. We did the audio as well as we read it, because of course that's that repetition. So therefore, that subconscious mind can totally absorb it. Do you remember the book?
Think and Grow Rich?
Did you remember the book?
I did.
What is it?
A treaty of human nature.
Okay.
That's by David Hume. It's the introduction of it's called A Treaty of Human Nature. He's one of the revolutionary economists. It's a big book, but something happens when you attempt to do something like that. To read something, first of all, the language will be very difficult, because the English at that time they used really big words, but when you listen to that stuff, you're basically rewiring your mind. You're shifting some things in your thoughts, because you're forcing yourself to get into different planes. This is why they tell old people, to either try learning a new language, because it restores some of the mental kind of strength. It gives you like mental toughness, by learning a new language. Same thing by reading a difficult book. It rewires that, and you'll start thinking completely differently. When you have an argument, the way you look at the argument, you're looking from a completely different perspective than the way you used to look at it. So it just helps you with system thinking and all that stuff. But that's a good start. Start with Think and Grow Rich, and then
Yeah.
I discovered, with those books, there's many books that were written from Think and Grow Rich. There's other stuff that he has, not just Think and Grow Rich. So it's just a wonderful way to do it. And this is the generation for information, because once those AIs come, you'll know what to ask, as opposed to just letting them dictate what you need to do.
Well, I love what you just shared with us, Phil, because as a group, as an organization, we truly challenge ourselves. You talked about another language. We are learning French in the midst of Think and Grow Rich while
Yeah.
we're doing the 75 hard. So we were literally just challenging ourselves. Like you said, you got to keep your brain sharp as a
Yeah.
tack, because
Yeah.
right now we got to keep challenging ourselves. You know what
Yeah.
I would love, Phil? Because I know your time is so important, and I know for sure you have another meeting. I would love it for us to set another time where we can have you back, because I really want us to really delve in, really kind of like go into this whole new technology with the whole NFTs, these non-functionable tokens, as
Yeah.
well as like breaking it down, because that piece right there, a lot of people, we already talked about the fear of cryptocurrency, the fear of Bitcoin, and they don't understand the importance of embracing it, because just because it's something that's unknown doesn't mean you have to be afraid of it, right?
Oh yeah.
So I would love for us to go bring you
Yeah.
back, and we can go into that conversation. How's that with you?
That's great. And you have to remember, there's a possibility that Bitcoin might not be the coin. A lot of people believe in it, but there's a chance that it might be just the beginning of a potential of something, and the real coin is yet to be manufactured. Bitcoin could be the one, but it might not be. So that's just not putting fear in anybody. Of course, there's a lot of objections, which is fine, but
Right.
if you look at this whole technology, it's new and we're learning about it, and it's shaping how we think about interaction with finances. But yes, amazing stuff.
I love it. You're just giving me so inspired. And that's what I love, guys. One of the greatest things you have to do, you have to keep challenging yourself, face your fear, and do it anyway. That's what I
Yeah.
always say. Face your fears and do it anyways. Well,
Yes.
Phil, it has been an honor as well as a privilege to have you on this week's Business Life Lessons After Dark, and we will be bringing you back. But I want everybody to get in contact with you. So please, Phil, share with all of our viewers how to get in contact with you.
So my company name, I have a few companies, a few things that I'm doing. So the first one is the architecture design firm. It's called Spatialist. That's SPACIALISTS. You can go there and take a look at that. I also have an NFT project called Galactic Zebra. So the Galactic Zebra is an NFT project to support wounded animals in the field. So if there's an animal that's hurt, there's organizations that go there and help them, maybe give them medication, and then they can continue living their life out there. So one of the things is create this zebra project that will fund some of these communities and help them have resources to help these animals. Next thing I also have is called Jotamu. Jotamu is a daily project. So I discovered NFT, my life changed. I decided to do art every day. Me and my brother, we do art every day. So if you go to Jotamu, JOTAMU, so we do art every day. So every day when you look at, every morning when you wake up, you'll find a new art piece that has been done. So one thing that has occurred during that process has been a year now doing art every day. I've discovered that I don't neglect any idea. Anything that comes to my head, I'm gonna execute. Anything idea that comes to my mind, I'm gonna execute. So I don't have room to say, well, I thought of that idea. So like the Uber thing, everybody says, well, I thought about Uber. So I don't have that thing. So what I do is any idea that occurs or any dream that I have, I'm going to put it on paper. So those are a few things that I do. I'm also an architecture designer, a licensed general contractor in state of California, and I'm just maximizing what I can do. Just seeing what the potential is out there.
You are a genius. That's what you are. And what we're going to help you to do, we're going to help you to get one of those 10K cards. I promise you, Phil. Then that way, all of your information will
Yeah.
be right there on that one card. Guys, I'm so grateful that you spent some time with us today. And as I share with you, with our business life lessons after dark, we surely will make sure we do a deeper dive with the man himself, Mr. Phil. So, guys, please put some white hearts and some red hearts in the chat for Phil from the clubhouse into your house. And again, Phil, thank you for joining us for
Thank you so
Business
much.
Life Lessons After Dark.
Thank
Well, guys, what an amazing conversation. Thank you again. I love when they come so smart like Phil. Man, he's a genius. And I can learn so much from him. I don't know about you, but I could have listened to him on and on and on because I got so much from that conversation. But guys, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. When we come back from the video, we're going to literally have not only one, but two of our amazing global warriors. They're not only going to be talking to you about the health and wellness, they're going to be dropping some serious tips for you. So therefore you can take away some amazing information so you can take action. That's one of the things we love to do in this space. We not only want you to learn, but we want you to be able to take massive action to be able to prepare yourselves for your better life. So when we come back from this video, we'll be bringing up Miss Tanya alongside with Miss Krista.
Hi, Tanya. How you doing today? I think you're still
great. How are you, Crystal?
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We're off to a great start here on our amazing Wednesday Business After Dark. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, awesome. All righty. Welcome to our edition of just an open mind to our health, our business, and our beauty. Okay, I'm Tanya, and I'll be giving tips on oral health. Now, when we look at oral health, we also look at our mouth as our overall health. And the reason why it's our overall health, because our mouth is the first avenue to our human bodies. Okay, so in order to have a great, healthy body, it starts from the mouth. Now, there are many ways to have a healthy dentition. The first tip is to make sure you're visiting your local dentist every 6 months. Okay. Now, when you're going to your doctors or your dental offices every 6 months, the dental clinicians, also the administrative team, is able to keep your mouth in a healthy form. And what does that mean is that when you visit your dentist every 6 months, they're able to do an amazing exam. They're able to do updated x-rays or images. And the reason why I say x-rays or images is that x-rays sometimes scare individuals, right? Because of the radiation. But yay, here comes digital dentistry. Okay. So we're taking dental images. So the amount of radiation to each patient is very minimal right now. So get excited about these dental images, because these dental images are able to diagnose the number one diseases among children and the number one diseases among adults. So what's the number one disease among children? Unfortunately, it's dental caries. We're looking at cavities. Now, why are children having so many cavities? It's so many factors, okay? It all starts from home care. It also goes into diet, okay? So there are many factors that lead into dental caries among children. Now, let's take a look at the adults. The number one disease among adults is periodontal disease. Now, what's periodontal disease? We're talking about gingivitis. It means that when you brush or floss, there's some form of blood present, okay? Now, if there's some form, it means that one, your pockets depths are a little bit too deep, meaning that bacteria has attacked the dentition and it's piled up under the soft tissues. But guess what? Here comes dentistry. We're able to solve these problems. We're able to treat patients with periodontal disease that helps them to either clear the disease or maintain or get to a point where it actually is eliminated. Right? Now, we need some tips or home tips. It starts in the home. What are the resources that you need to keep a healthy mouth? You need an amazing electric toothbrush. I highly recommend Sonicare because one, the toothbrush stays in the mouth for 2 long minutes, right? Now, if you compare an electric toothbrush to a manual toothbrush, you kind of have control of the time with a manual toothbrush. So you can brush for 60 seconds versus 2 minutes. Now, that's a major difference. Now, if you jump over to the electric toothbrush, it's timed for 2 minutes. And it also reminds you that you missed an area, right? So if you miss, for example, the mouth is made up of 4 quadrants. If you miss quadrant one, the electric toothbrush reminds you to go back to quadrant one, all right? Now, brushing is a key factor, all right? Now, the other factor is making sure that you have an excellent toothpaste, but you don't need much toothpaste. You just need a pea size of toothpaste on your toothbrush. The other area is making sure that you're flossing on a very frequent basis, meaning that you're flossing daily. Now, the flossing is so important because if you're not flossing, what happens? There's interproximal decay. Now, what is interproximal decay? It's bacteria between your teeth, it's having a cavity between your teeth, okay? So the floss is able to access any form of food debris that's left over or any form of bacteria. The toothbrush is not able to reach the interproximal area. So that's why it's important that you're brushing daily, 2 to 3 times a day, and especially before bedtime, and making sure that you're flossing on a consistent basis. Now, the other resource that you're going to need is an amazing mouth rinse, okay? Now, there's so many mouth rinses on the market. You're going to partner with the one that your dental office recommends. It can be Crest, it can be Listerine, any one that your clinician, whether it be a dental hygienist, a dentist, or a dental assistant recommends, that's the one you're going to partner with. Now, there are other resources. You can also have a water pick. A water pick flushes the interproximal area. It's like a toothbrush that can contain water. So anything that's in between your teeth, you're able to irrigate those areas with either water or some form of antibacterial rinse. Now, when you have all of these resources in place, you have partnered up with your overall health. You're keeping your dentition healthy, and also you're really partnering up with your dental practices, right? So you're minimizing the amount of dental caries and you're also minimizing periodontal disease. I'm Tanya, And I will go ahead and introduce our amazing guest, Miss Crystal. She's going to dive deep into skincare. Go ahead, Crystal. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
You're welcome.
That was a lot of great information.
Thank you.
It's really important to keep your teeth beautiful. So thank you for that. Yeah, so I'm here just to talk to everyone about skincare and the importance of your skin, keeping it hydrated. And so I'm going to give you some tips today on just those things you should do to protect your skin and keep your skin healthy. First, you want to protect your skin from the sun. That is one of the most important things. You want to make sure you have some type of sunscreen. So that would be any type of moisturizer that has SPF 15 or above. All of that will protect your skin from what we call UVA and UVB rays. The UVA are ultraviolet aging rays, and UVB is ultraviolet burning. And so the sun gives off both of those. And just know that even though there may be clouds in the sky, the rays are still coming through. So you want to always make sure you have some type of protection on your skin, especially your face. Along with that, another protection is foundation. Some people don't think of foundation as a way to protect your skin, but that's another way. Even if you just wear some type of light coverage, what the foundation will do is protecting your skin from what we call free radicals. Those are the items, the particles in the skin, in the air, from chemicals, dust. One thing to think about, I don't know if you've looked at the fan. When the fan is spinning and it's been spinning for a while, and over a few weeks, you can see that the particles in the air stay on the fan. So just think about that. All those particles in the air are actually landing on your face every day. So you want to make sure you wash your face every night. That's important. And so just know that the foundation also is one of those items that acts as a protector from your skin from what's in the environment. Another item is to always include some type of vitamin C or vitamin E. Those will help with signs of aging and help reduce wrinkles and help keep your skin vibrant. So it's important to incorporate that into your diet or in some type of supplement. And also a lot of products have vitamin C and E in the moisturizers or serums. So just make sure you're applying some type of vitamin C and E to your skin. They also help with scarring as well, so keep that in mind. The other tip I'd like to give you is to get plenty of sleep. That's also very important. It helps all of your cells rejuvenate, so make sure you're getting plenty of sleep every night. And then also try not to fall asleep with your makeup on. A lot of times, you may have a busy day and may not think about it and just lay right down. Just remember that, again, all those items in the air, the particles in the air are still on your face. So it's important to cleanse your face and have a routine. Make sure that you have a daily routine that you cleanse in the morning and at night, and also moisturize in the morning and at night. All those things are going to help with those signs of aging and just protect your skin from different elements from the day. Okay. Then you also want to make sure that you are very delicate with your eye area. Really all of your skin, but your eye area, you want to remember, is the thinnest skin on your face. So you don't want to tug and pull, because those doing that will cause the wrinkles. So it's very important to be very delicate with your eye area, and also use your ring finger. I don't know if you know, but your ring finger on both hands, the next to the pinky, is your weakest finger. So if you just tap gently whenever you're applying any type of eye creams, just make sure that you're using your weakest finger. Okay. And again, try not to tug and pull. One other thing, you should definitely make sure you're staying hydrated. That is very important. Water is needed to keep your body clean, rinse out all the toxins. So it's important to make sure you have hydration, and try to drink at least 8 glasses a day. If you can, a gallon a day of water is what they say is good. So just make sure you're flushing your skin. It also helps, again, with the signs of aging, and helps plump up your skin. So it's very important to make sure you stay hydrated. And then, of course, make sure you eat your vegetables, as they say, right? One thing I've heard was eat the rainbow, right? It's so important to eat all the different colors of vegetables and making sure you're applying those to your daily routine in your diet. And so I'm not a nutritionist, but I know it's important to eat those because they also play a huge part in your how your skin looks. It gives you glow, making sure you're eating a lot of green leafy vegetables and like I said, eat the rainbow. So with that, that's all I have. So those are my tips. Just make sure you protecting your skin and making sure that you eat healthy.
That's those are some incredible tips, Crystal. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to dive into some questions that patients may have for dental practice, okay?
Okay.
So we know that, the dental office is not the favorite spot for everyone, right? We have to really work ourselves up to get to a dental practice. And one of the main reasons why patients sometimes stay away from dental offices is because of anxiety, right? The
Absolutely.
fear of something. Do you think patients are scared of something in the dental office? Why they stay away? What do you think, Crystal?
Oh yeah, I'm one of those. I don't
You
say I
are.
stay away.
Okay.
I do have a fear. I had a fear for a long time. I had a bad experience. There was a lady that was not so gentle, and because of that, it just something very simple from flossing my teeth, and I after that I just had a huge fear of going to the dentist. It's like I'll just do my best to keep my teeth clean. So I think that a lot of people struggle with going to the dentist, and of course, the big needles and all the poking and prodding, and yeah, so it's awkward. Oh, I think you're on mute, Tanya.
Yes, sorry. I'm so happy that you highlighted your fear. Okay, it's really, really important. That's why we, as clinicians, we encourage parents to give their children a great experience. And when we see a great experience, we're making sure that we have some amazing specialists, which are called pedodontists, right? So your child is able to experience the dental practice from an early age, and they love going to the dentist, right? So the pediatric team, they're like Disney World. When you go in there, it's like a boom, right? They have
Yeah.
lava floors, they name it, they have it, and they have the highest energy. Their colors are beautiful. So by a child experiencing a dental office from such perspective, they will end up loving taking care of their oral health once because the experience is great and they continue to maintain it. But when you highlight the fact that you had a bad experience, which we do apologize in every way, we do have patients that run into a bad experience, right? And patients tend to stay away. So, dental practices, their goal, especially the clinical area, is to bring our patients in on a soft bed. And it's all about one, patient education. Two, about the way you greet patients, right? So when we greet a patient, bringing them back from the reception area to the clinical area, our goal is to create that comfort level. Okay, we distract them in every form, and we do see courses, right? So we do courses to distract you. And you mentioned the big needle. Unfortunately, the needles are not big; they're really tiny, right? So now dental practices, now you'll see that a lot of patients are wearing sunshades. And there's a reason why we have the sunshades, okay? We don't want you to see any of those instruments, okay? And it also is a protection. So it's all about the experience. So the clinicians, their goal is to bond with the patient. We're not going to talk about anything dental, right? We're going to talk about your family. We're going to talk about the weather because it's a way to distract our patients to get that treatment, okay? Because we always want our patients to have a great experience. By having that great experience, your patients will return quite often, okay? So it's all about the experience. Once you get that great experience or you correct the experience that happened, you will be off to a great oral health, okay? Now, there's any other questions that you have for me in regards to your oral health or anything that's pending, or what are your thoughts on x-rays, like dental x-rays?
I don't really have so much of an issue with X-rays. I think it's more the items that they put in your mouth to keep it open. I don't know what that's called. Maybe you can talk about that. But I know that try to clamp, you have to get it clamped down right, and it cuts the inside of your gums. That's the only thing I don't like.
Oh, so that's called the mouth prop. Okay. It's a mouth prop. So there's no in between for the mouth prop. You either love it or hate it. Okay. So what we do, we normally try it out in the patient's oral cavity. Okay. So for the first 2 seconds, the patient bites down and they're okay. We move forward. But for the first second, once the patient starts to react and say, oh, this won't work, this is too big, it's removed. So the mouth prop is a really, really important instrument because one, it helps the patient to stay open for the entire procedure, right? The other reason why the mouth prop is used in dental practices is to reduce the amount of pain on TMJ problems. So if patients open up really wide for 15 minutes, the jaw begins to hurt. So the mouth prop is like a mouth pillow, all right? But it's also a protection from patients closing while the instruments are in the oral cavity. Okay. Now let's move over to the pediatric world. The pediatric world, they thrive on the mouth prop. Okay. So for every child that goes to a dental office, a mouth prop will be used. Okay. So it's also a safeguard from the child closing down on those instruments. Okay. But whenever you're in a dental practice and the mouth prop is tried in, you have the option. It's no in between. You either love the mouth prop or you don't like it. Okay. So it's a great one. So if you don't like it, it's still great. All right. All righty. Now, how about the reception area? Let's talk about the administrative side of a dental office. What are your thoughts when you check into a dental office?
It's always really welcoming,
Hmm.
and a lot of the places I've gone are always decorated from the customer, like, and they always have something to offer you. I've always had a great experience in greeting them.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And you know what's amazing? Or I guess earlier, Phil mentioned that he showed up in a business and there was no front office, right? Remember, he mentioned something about he checked into a business and there was no front office. So you may have offices that will have live people, right? And then you also have offices that you can check in and there's no front office. This technology is really winding into the medical and the dental field, which is pretty cool, right? So
Yeah.
one, it saves time on patients waiting because we don't want patients to wait. So if they're able to check in like their resource, like their paperwork, their patient, if it's a new patient, their entire paperwork can be sent home to the convenience of their home so it can be filled out before entering into a dental practice. So once they get to the dental practice, the goal is to bring the patient back in a timely manner, finish that treatment really quickly so they can have a wonderful experience. So when it comes to dentistry, technology is on the fastest end. The materials are amazing. If you compare the materials now to the materials that our grandparents use, it's like night and day. And that's why I get really excited. So this generation of children, they will have such an amazing experience when it comes on to dental treatment. Because the products that used to take like 20 minutes to set or 15 minutes to set, right now these products and these materials are setting in about 5 seconds. Really fast. So the dental field is a field that is always evolving. The materials, the best materials are being launched in the field of dentistry. But what's amazing is that the team members, the clinician, or the administrative team, they are taking CE courses to stay abreast of technology. Okay. Now, Crystal, the other question is, have you ever gotten a dental impression before? Like the gooey material? Did you get braces when you were younger?
I never had braces, but
That's
yes,
good.
I have had the impression. I believe it was for trays that I was getting fitted for. They have a whitening kit, and they use that to do the impression on my teeth.
That's great. I'm so happy you mentioned whitening. So any material, for example, if you're getting whitening in a dental practice, if you had braces, if you're getting partial dentures, crowns, there's always a gooey material that's used, right, to take an impression. Now, guess what? In the past 5 years, dentistry has digital impressions. So there are offices that don't use the gooey material. So patients are being scanned in about 5 to 10 seconds. And this digital impression is sent off to a lab, and then your whitening trays is being made, or your crown is being made, your partials and denture. So now the patient has a great experience because they have found out in many ways that the experience of impressions on patients is not the best, right? But
Right.
dental practices had to take impressions in order to acquire these appliances. But now
Okay.
they have a scanner that scans the patient dentition, so it's multiple pictures and it's sent off to a dental lab, and the lab is able to fabricate these appliances in really a quick turnover, like a week time, and these appliances are being delivered to dental offices. So that's where technology is really taking over. And it's
Oh yeah,
exciting.
that's great.
So now the patient experience is wonderful. So we're not having patients in too much anxiety mode. They're loving the experience of dental care. So they're actually visiting their dental office more often
That's great.
now.
Yeah, that's new to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So like if you're about to get like Invisalign or any clear liners, you're
Mhm.
scanned instead of impressions are taken, which is
Okay,
great.
that's great.
Yeah. It's awesome. 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 All right, Crystal. Any additional questions?
Um, I think the only thing I'd really like to know about is, I know you mentioned the whitening. I think we covered this, but what is the best way to whiten your teeth or keep your teeth protected? Because does it break down your enamel, and like how important is that to your teeth to keep your teeth when you're going through any type of whitening?
Okay, so that's a very good question. Okay, it's an excellent question because the dental practices have so many options when it comes on to whitening. Okay, now when you walk into, for example, a pharmacy, Costco, there's so many whitening materials on the shelves, right? Now, what we don't want is our patients confused, right? Or just picking random products because you choose random products, it can actually damage your enamel or your soft tissues. Okay. So dental offices have three options for patients to get whitened. Now, why do patients whiten? There are many reasons. You have an amazing event coming up, right? A graduation. You want to make sure we have a beautiful smile, right? There could be a wedding, right? Want to make sure you have a beautiful smile. But you also have patients that have underlining staining, mean that the stains that they have on their teeth is hereditary, mean that it's coming from their parents. Okay, you have patients that also have staining from tetracycline. So that's an antibiotic which was given when they were younger, so it got engraved into their enamel. So it looks as if they had coffee like 10 times a day, but it's not coffee. Okay, now, what are the options that they have for whitening in dental office? The first one is a take-home kit. All right. So the take-home kit it's going to come from a company called Opalescence. It's already a pre-formed tray. All you do is place it into your dentition for about 30 minutes a day. Okay. Now, after you've used those pre-formed tray, you dispose of them. Okay. So those trays are excellent for individuals that are very busy. You're on the go. You have like 3 seminars per week. You're on the airline all the time. So just before you board your flight, you go ahead and put your trays in. Okay. By the time you get to your destination, you remove it, right? So those are great for busy patients. Then we have other patients that said, I can do it on my own, but I don't think I'm going to do it properly, right? So we have those patients that want their whitening done in an hour. So you have the in office whitening. So the in office whitening is done by the clinicians, expanded function dental assistants, hygienists, or the dentist themselves. So you check into a dental office in an hour. If you check in at 9 o'clock, at 10 o'clock, you have white teeth. So that's an hour, okay? And those materials are much stronger, but it's monitored by clinicians. So you're safe, all right? Then we have the other one, which is a take home tray. Those are great. You get impressions done, and then a tray is made, and you take that tray home, and materials are given to you, right? And you do that whitening at the convenience of your time. You can do it just before bed. You're going to be given some whitening tubes. You're going to place a tiny bit, a pea size, from cornerstone to cornerstone of your mouth, because just your smile line, okay? So the posterior area, you don't have to whiten, just the cornerstone. So you're going to place a pea size of your whitening material in your tray, place it in your mouth, go to bed. Maybe at midnight, you can get up and remove it. And the process starts. But when you whiten, there are other areas you want to include. You want to avoid stained products, okay? We're talking about the amazing spinach. We know we need to be eating more spinach, right? But spinach stains really hard during that process. So within 2 weeks, you shouldn't be having berries, spinach, any form of coffee, because the pores in your enamel are open, right? Because you're whitening. So if you're going to have like berries, strawberries, or raspberry, it will pick up the stain from the open pores. Okay. So after 2 weeks, when your pores are sealed, you can go back to your berries, right? Now it's the same thing for coffee. Instead of drinking the coffee, you can have it through a straw. So it doesn't flush the entire enamel, it goes to the back of your throat. So during your whitening, there are certain precautions that you want to take. You want to stay away from staining products, right? And if you do have some form of staining product, you want to make sure you're rinsing after. All right. But whitening has taken over so much. And you can also, while you're whitening, you can get a whitening toothpaste, the Sensodyne whitening. So some form of whitening toothpaste while you're whitening. Okay.
Are the charcoal whitenings good as well?
So the charcoal we highly don't recommend. It's so aggressive to the enamel. So the enamel is the hardest bone on the body, okay? And we have to protect that bone. So the charcoal is very abrasive. It's very aggressive. But there's so many other options that can whiten your teeth. Now, remember earlier I spoke about the electric toothbrush, right? So
Yes.
the electric toothbrush is another great entity. So the electric toothbrush can also go into the whitening mode. All right. So, for example, you notice over the past 2 months, you may have a tiny bit of staining just from your amazing Starbucks coffee. You can place your electric toothbrush in the whitening mode, and it clears that staining up. So there are many pluses to your electric toothbrush. All right.
Now, is there a brand or a type of electric toothbrush that most dentists suggest you use? Because I know there's some that I know have like a circular motion, some that just move. Is there a certain type that you suggest works better?
Yeah, so we suggest Sonicare. Sonicare is an amazing toothbrush. And the beauty about Sonicare is that it's upgraded every year.
Okay.
The latest one has a Bluetooth, which is really fascinating. Yeah, it's so fascinating. So if you brush and you miss certain area, you look at your app and you see exactly where you missed.
Wow.
Really cool. Really cool. Now, what's really cool about the electric toothbrush, it is an investment, right? So an average electric toothbrush from Sonicare will range from about 110 to about 160. But
Oh,
that's a toothbrush that you can change the heads off, right? The motor, so for example, two individuals can use that same toothbrush. You just have to switch the heads out. Okay, so it's an electric toothbrush that you can share with someone, but you just want to make sure each person has their own head. All right,
oh,
and your toothbrush, it's important that you're changing the heads every 3 months. Okay, so once the bristles start to look a little fuzzy and heading the other way, you want to switch those out. Okay, so the electric toothbrush is just highly recommended because not only for the aesthetic part, the whitening part, but also the health part. Okay, so it really minimizes the amount of dental caries and it minimizes periodontal disease. Right,
yeah.
great.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give a testimony to that. I've been using an electric toothbrush, excuse me, since, oh gosh, probably 2015. And I have not had a cavity since. So
There you
it
go.
definitely
You
works.
have the cavity, right?
Yeah.
Since 2015. That's how many years?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's what, 7 years?
Yeah. A
Yeah.
little bit more than that.
Yeah, so that's a long time. You're like creating history in oral health, okay? Because the average patient, and then what's causing caries? Okay, we look at different factors. Most people will say, okay, if you drink sodas, right? You eat candy, you will get cavities. But the cavities are coming from different parts, okay? Because we have to look at the fact that carbohydrates breaks down to sugar, okay? So you can be eating granola bars and other healthy bars, but it's all about the brushing. It's all about the brushing. So once you've eaten your healthy bars, you want to make sure you're brushing really well. Because one thing with the granola bars, they're either sticky or hard. So when you look at the occlusal surface of a tooth, the occlusal surface means the top of the tooth, okay? It's groovy, right?
Yeah.
So when you eat like crunchy stuff, like Doritos, granola bar, it tends to hide in those spots, right? So the toothbrush has to stay on the occlusal surface to remove those debris. If it's not removed, what happened? The bacteria, the granola bars, the Doritos, it sits in there and have a party. Okay. And when we say have a party in dentistry, it means that it's breaking down the enamel. Okay. So that's how dental caries are created. It all goes back to the home care. If you're a great brusher and you're brushing quite often, 3 times a day, making sure that you're flossing and you're on it with your 5 dental products in your bathroom on the counter. So our products is going to take over half of your bathroom. Okay. So after your dental office have recommended the products that keep your dentition healthy, your counter half of it should be dental products. And that's great because it's saving your dentition. Okay? All right. Even the electric toothbrush, there are so many for the children, for the kids. Okay. So they also have electric toothbrush for children. So I highly recommend that for kids. Okay.
Right.
All
Is
right.
there, you mentioned, your enamel. Is there a way to restore that once it's broken down?
Oh, great question. So once enamel is broken down, okay, it's the hardest bone, which I get so excited about. Okay, it's in your mouth, the hardest bone, right? Once it's broken down, it can be restored. Okay, so the restoration goes to a filling, a composite resin. So it's a white filling. Okay, so enamel can be restored with a white filling or crown or veneer. So anything that's broken down in dentistry, it can be restored. Okay. The last thing your dental practice does is that the dental industry is in the industry of saving the mouth. Okay. The last resort is to remove a tooth. All right. So there's so many ways. We call it the cycle of the tooth. All right. The tooth will, if you have a cavity, okay, that's the first cycle. It goes through that cycle, it erupts. Then, if you do have a cavity, it can be restored with a composite resin of filling, right? Now, if the filling chips or something happened to your filling, it can be redone, right? But if that filling chips again, it can be restored again with a crown. So there's always a solution to the enamel. And it's always the last resort that you go to an oral surgeon to have it extracted. All right. Now, what are your thoughts on root canals, Crystal?
Oh my goodness. I've heard that they're the worst.
Oh, there you go. So you've heard that it's the worst. Now, what's so hard about root canal, or why is it the worst treatment? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, I just the pain. I would think the pain you have to go through because it's dealing with your nerve. Is that correct?
With your nerve, very the root canal. Okay. Now, the fear factor is coming from years ago when technology was really not there. I was trying to evolve in dentistry. Okay. Now, with modern medicine, the anesthetics are amazing. So, if a patient gets a root canal, and they see an endodontist, and they're specialists that focuses on the nerve. Okay. But why do patients need root canal? There are many factors. Okay. The first factor is that if you don't get a fill-in when you're, for example, your dental practice say you need a fill-in on number 30, the dental caries continue to grow. Okay. So if the caries move from the enamel phase into the nerve, it infects the nerve. All right. So now there's bacteria in the heart of the tooth because the nerve is the heart of the tooth. So once the nerve gets infected, what will happen? The endodontist has to save that tooth, right? So the endodontists, they're the saviors of the dentition. So they'll go in, they remove the nerve, but you'll be totally numb, right? And they are so detailed and they're so specific. The endo practices, they have a microscope that actually looks down into your tooth. Okay. So they clean the bacteria from the nerve, right? And make that tooth a healthy tooth again. You won't have a nerve in the tooth. That's a plus, right? So you won't feel anything, right? So the nerve will be removed. You'll be able to restore that tooth. You'll be able to have a crown on that tooth and you still have number 30. So the misconception about root canal have changed over the years because of technology, because of modern medicine. So if a patient is two options when it comes on to root canal, you either have a root canal done or the tooth has to be extracted. Now the industry is all about saving the dentition. So you'll find that your dental office will push more towards having a root canal. All right. So the experience is great right now when it comes on to root canals.
Wonderful.
Now I'm going to have some questions for you, Crystal, in regards to skincare. All right.
Okay.
Now, when you talk about skincare, it is so, so important, right? Now, what is the regimen you recommend for a daily routine, your morning routine versus your nighttime routine? And if is there a difference between the
Not too much of a difference. The routine is pretty much the same. Just what it depends on the products, right? So in the morning, the first thing you want to do is cleanse. You want to, if you choose to do some type of exfoliation that will remove dead skin cells, that first layer of your dead skin cells, or you can do a chemical peel that will go several layers down. It's another form of exfoliation. And then with that, you want to follow up with some type of vitamins and restoration. It's like a any type of serum. And then with that, then you want to follow up with a moisturizer. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, making sure that moisturizer has some type of sunscreen. And you can also find sunscreen in your primer. Some companies make a facial primer. That's what you put on before you put your makeup on. That also has some of them puts SPF, some type of SPF inside of that formula as well. So with your primer, you can protect your skin as well. So that's a choice. So that's one thing. You wouldn't do that at night. You just do that before you put your makeup on. So that would probably be the difference. And then you want to follow up with, like I said, your foundation is another form of protection in the morning. Then at nighttime, you would do the same thing. You want to make sure you cleanse and remove all of those free radicals from the day. And then you lastly want to just make sure you, oh, well, let me just say this. You don't have to exfoliate twice. You only do that once a day, and you would do it every three days or two or 3 days. It's not something you want to do every day because you're basically removing one layer of your skin. Okay, so that's not done every day. So with that, then you want to do your cleanse at night, moisturize again at night. If you have any type of serum or night cream, you want to use those. And then again, remember to use any type of creams for your eyes. And at night, you want to make sure you're using products that are still full of those vitamins because those will help as you sleep. When you're doing when your body's restoring all of your cells, it helps with having those vitamins when you're doing restoration. And that's it. And
No,
again, just water.
no, those are, I mean, those are some great tips, okay? And you have an entire line of products that's the daytime routine, right? Now, how about the nighttime routine? Would that be similar? Or there's some products from the morning routine that you can drop into the nighttime routine?
Yeah, you would do the same products, a cleanser, a moisturizer, and any type of serums. So it's pretty much the same at night. The difference is in the daytime, you're going to put on, any type of primer or anything else and foundation to protect your skin. But at nighttime, it's pretty much the same. You just want to make sure you're cleansing and moisturizing your skin at night.
Okay, now how early should we get into the routine of skincare? It should be around 10 years old, 11, young ladies growing up or young men, because we got to have something for men too, right? For their skincare. What do you
Yeah,
recommend?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, everybody has skin. So men, women, kids, everybody. So yeah, kids could start at any age. I mean, obviously when you're a baby, your skin is still it's fresh, it's new. So I would say probably around 10 is a good age to start with a routine, a daily routine, is making sure your face is clean. And then, my daughter, she's actually used skincare. She's had a regimen since she was probably, yeah, I would probably say about 10 years old, and she still does that same regimen. So yeah, definitely, it doesn't matter what age you start, just and men as well, because men, they shave, and that's their form of exfoliating, but they also still need moisture and still need to protect their skin from the sun. So yeah, there's products for everyone.
Sort of stays on him, which is really exciting, because sometimes the young men they kind of keep it simple. But my
Right.
daughter always reminds my son that listen, make sure you're using your cleanser. Did you moisturize? It's so so important. And these products, do we get some of these products from out, like, for example, one, are you seeing like a skincare specialist? Are you seeing a dermatologist? Or you just kind of randomly figure it out?
Yeah, I would say, if you don't have any underlying issues with your skin,
Yeah.
I would say just make sure you're using the same product line. So whatever product you use, make sure it's the same brand because the products are meant to work together. So you want to make sure you're not mixing three different types of three different products from different companies. So if you can, for the most part, try to use the same line, and make sure you're consistent with that. If you see some type of change in your skin, you want to look to your diet, and you want to look to, if you've changed products, and see if your skin is having any type of effect. If it's something that you can't seem to change, and it's really, showing up, if you're having issues with acne or scarring or different spots, things like that, that aren't doesn't look like your products are able to help, then that might be the time that you go and see a dermatologist to see if they can diagnose something, or see what the cause is.
Oh, that's some excellent tips. We have gotten to a time in our show that this is amazing. We focused on oral health and we did focus on skincare, and I'm sure our audience was able to gain some knowledge from what we sent out into the world this evening. Do you have a final thought for our audience, Crystal?
Yeah, my final thoughts would be just, make sure you're protecting your skin. Use some sunscreen. Drink plenty of water. Stay hydrated. That's important. Get plenty of sleep. That's important. All these things are play a huge part in your overall health of your skin, and the way your skin looks and the glow. So you want to make sure you're just being healthy, and it starts from the inside out. So all those things, and like I said, healthy diet, drink plenty of water, and use sunscreen, and have a routine, have a consistent routine.
Awesome. I think we have an amazing individual on our platform right now, and it's Pastor Jeff. Welcome, Pastor Jeff. How are you?
I am super fantastic. How are you, Miss Tanya and Miss
I
Crystal?
Hello, Pastor Jeff.
We're doing great. We're doing great, Pastor Jeff.
What if I've been enjoying your conversation and learning about, I have a electric toothbrush that I haven't used in years. So now I think I'm gonna go and either start using it or get another one. And Miss Crystal, that information about men exfoliating their faces and having a regimen to stay looking young, like Pastor Jeff, is very important.
Yes, absolutely. Now, are you going to take over and talk to us about business after dark?
Absolutely. So I am glad to be with Business After Dark, Lessons After Dark. And this is the relationship portion. And so if you ladies are going to stick around, that would be wonderful as we go into relationships. And I believe that we're going to have Danella, who is going to also join us. Look, there she is. Hello, Danielle. Danella. Is it Danella?
Tanya. Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening. Say your name for me so I won't be pronouncing it wrong throughout the broadcast.
Daniela.
Daniela. All right. Well, ladies, we're going to get right into it. So, the very first question that I'm going to ask, and we'll go in the order that I see you, and that is Miss Tanya, then Daniela, and then Crystal. So, ladies, in your opinion, do married women or single women have the most fun? All right, we'll start out. That's our first question for tonight as we talk about relationships here at Business Life Lessons After Dark. How about it? Who has the most fun in your opinion?
I'm single, so I have the most fun.
How about it, Miss Tanya and Miss Crystal?
I think single women have more fun.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Miss Crystal.
I wouldn't. I don't know. I think that you can have fun while you're single. I'm not married, so I don't know what married life is like. So I think it's. I would assume that you should be able to have just as fun as you have in your single life as you do when you're married.
All right. Now, the follow-up question is why? So I think the consensus was that pretty much everybody said single women have more fun than married women. I wish I had a married woman on here so she could refute that, because I think married women have more fun. But anyway, Daniela, why do single women have more fun?
Single woman has more fun because they are free, um, and they're able to do whatever they want with whoever they want when they want it. So, whereas when you're married, you have to take, your partner's feelings, emotions, and ethics into consideration. You're not living life by yourself. You're not doing life for yourself. So you have to take into account your partner, how he would view certain things if you were to, do whatever you want. So you can't live freely. If you're married, you don't live freely. So, you have somebody else that you have to be accountable to. So that's my that's my answer.
So, Miss Daniela, if I might ask this question, if I were a single, available, handsome young man like I am, and I was interested in you and dating you, are you telling me that you're not going to take in consideration my feelings and what I like and what I want to do because you're not married to me?
Okay. So single is defined up until the point you are married. So what I'm seeing single in the term of you're not dating. So of course, if we are in a relationship, of course, we still consider as a couple, then yes, I have to take, your emotions and feelings into consideration. But I'm thinking single, someone who is not dating, someone who doesn't have anyone that, they're accountable to.
So, as my wife would say, you mean a person who is footloose and fancy free, no dating, no fiance, you just out having fun. Is that your definition there, Miss Danielle? And Daniela, I'm gonna get it right. Okay, you're on mute.
You can call me Danielle.
All right, Danielle. All right. So is that the definition you give me? You're footloose and fancy free, just out enjoying and exploring.
I would say so, yes. Like as a single person, if I want to book a flight tomorrow and go wherever, I can do that. I don't have to ask permission or I don't have to run it by you. You know, all I have to do tell my kids, hey, I'm going to New York, I'm going to Mexico. So you can do that if you're dating or if you're married.
All right, we'll go to Miss Tanya. Same question.
Yes, so I can see that, single women have, it's almost like they have more freedom. It's not like they
Mm.
have to, okay, like, just as Danielle said, that, if she wants to travel, she just book her flight and she just go. Okay. Now, if you're married, it's kind of different, right? You have to make sure you're accountable to your family, right? Okay, is this time good for me to travel? Will the children be okay? Want to make sure that everyone's okay before we take off. And then the same thing, if you're going out, you just go out. But when you're married, it's a little bit different. You have to make sure, you're going out on the right night, right? Or you're going out the time that correlates with you and your significant other.
Okay, and Miss Crystal, how about you?
I agree with Tanya. You definitely want to make sure you let the other person know. You want to schedule that out. You don't want to just go off without making plans, and you want to consider, their schedule as well. So I agree with Tanya.
All right. So my next question is, while you're footloose and fancy free and able to fly at the drop of a hat, you want to go to Jamaica. So you just book a ticket, book a flight, and you go to Jamaica. What type of guy will cause you to move from being footloose and fancy free to say, hey, I want to date? Describe that guy for me.
Oh my God.
Let's start with Miss Crystal.
Or you could start with Crystal first.
Well, I guess it would be that type of guy that is fun. That I wouldn't have to go and travel somewhere else. I'm able to enjoy my time with him. So that's the type of guy that would make me stay around. He's fun. He's humorous. He enjoys nature and the beach because I love the beach. So someone that I would want to do those things with instead of going off on my own and doing them.
Now, Miss Crystal, you might not know Pastor Jeff, but I'm not gonna let you get away with just that because there's a lot of guys that say, "Hey, I fit that description. I'm fun. I like the water. I like the beach, and I'll be whatever you want me to be." So, can you give us a little bit more detail of, besides being fun, what's gonna get your attention? Is he tall? Is he short? Is he a weightlifter? Is he thin? Is he heavy built? Come on, tell us a little bit more.
Well, to be honest, looks are everything. For me, it really has to do with the person's personality, and their energy. They have to have good energy, and it has to be someone. I mean, fun is important, but they have to be able to carry a conversation, and be intellectual and share some of the same values that I share. So all those things would be a reason for me to want to stay and not go off on my own.
All right. One other question before I go to the other ladies. Would pulling pranks on you be considered fun?
Are you asking me first or everyone?
Yes. Before I go to the other ladies. Yeah, with pulling pranks on you.
I don't mind fun. Pranks. That is fun to me. I might do a few pranks myself. So yeah, that's fun.
All right. Good. We'll go to Miss Danielle. You're on mute.
My ideal man or mate would be God-fearing. Yes, he has to be tall and slender, intellectual, business-minded, open-minded, and spontaneous. I love to have fun and family-oriented.
All right. You've been thinking about that a little while, haven't you?
I have it written down on my vision board.
Okay. All right. Now, what if he checks off all but two of those? Is he a candidate, or does he have to check off every one of those?
It depends. The person may not be entrepreneurial himself, but if he has the mindset that he would support me in my endeavor, so he doesn't have to own his own business, has to be a godly man. That's non-negotiable, and has to be able to carry a conversation and be well-rounded. If we're talking about politics, he's able to talk about it, current events, crypto, finances. So it's someone that who has a level of understanding of higher education. So let me put it that way. Yes.
All right.
I've been known to be high standard. Maybe that's why I'm still single. I don't know. Definitely need to be able to communicate.
Okay. And Miss Tanya, same question.
The guy has to be God-fearing, loving, and definitely love children.
That's it? Just God-fearing, loving, and love children?
Yeah. I mean, the other party has to be outgoing too. That's important. Outgoing. His communication has to be often and clear. I like that. And simple. Just try to get a point across. Just don't go around the bush. Just go straight to the point. Yeah. So God-fearing, loving, love children, and communicate really well.
All right. Well, one thing I haven't heard any of you ladies say is emotionally intelligent. So how important is an emotionally intelligent gentleman? And we'll start with Miss Crystal, go to Miss Tanya, and then end with Miss Danielle. Before I go to my next question.
That is important. It is important. I think as you get older, you grow into that. And, so I think, it does play a part in how you interact and to Tanya's point, how you communicate. So it is important to make sure you have emotional intelligence.
All right. Miss Tanya.
All right. So the emotional intelligence, you're referring to like having some form of emotions or empathy or
Well,
romantic.
well, it's not. I don't know if it would be considered romantic, but a man who understands his feelings, a man who's not afraid to cry, a
Oh,
man that can identify that he's angry or that he's upset or that he's happy or that he's sad.
yeah, that's really important. Okay. So the emotional intelligence is really important. You know, if it's a partner, a husband, a spouse, expressing who they are, it's important. Okay. Like some people would say, okay, men don't cry. Yeah, they do have emotions. So
Mhm.
it's important. That's a very, very important part of our relationship. I want you to express how you feel, because keeping these things in don't help either you, yourself, or the entire relationship. So the emotional intelligent part is a key part of the relationship.
All right, Miss Danielle.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it will keep things balanced. Um, because you need to know when to act and when to react. So definitely, be cognizant of that is a key to me to a successful relationship.
All right, ladies, we're going to go to the next question. In our barbershop conversation with the men, the question came up, why is it so difficult for men to apologize? And it was brought up in that conversation that some of the men thought it was harder for women to apologize. So, ladies, I want to know, inquiring minds want to know tonight, why is it so difficult for women to apologize and to admit that they are wrong? We'll start off with Miss Danielle. How about
Um,
it?
I don't think that women have a hard time to apologize. At least to me, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm in Aquarius, so I don't hold grudges. So if something is bothering me, I will tell you. And if I am wrong, I'm wrong. I will be. Sometimes I'm too quick to say, I'm sorry, let's move on, because I do not want to dwell into the situation. So definitely, I will be the first to say, hey, I'm sorry, so that we can move on past the situation, because I don't like to dwell on situations.
All right, Miss Danielle. Miss Tanya, how about it? Are women are women slow to say I'm sorry? Are they slow to say I apologize?
I think women are very quick to apologize. Okay.
Mhm.
Sometimes we're too quick, you know, because sometimes you have to, it's important that you apologize, but I think we apologize very quickly based on our emotions. And sometimes we apologize to feel as if we're loved. Okay. So, the apology
Say that
coming,
one more time.
and sometimes we apologize to feel that we are loved. All right.
Okay.
So sometimes we apologize to feel secure. Like, okay, I'm gonna say I'm sorry, although the sorry should be coming from the other party, right? So sometimes we say sorry and we apologize quickly for things to move on quicker, right? So I think in a partnership, if you compare women to men, we apologize very quickly, which is great. But there's sometimes we can, we need to sit back a little bit and look at where the apology should be coming from.
Interesting. I want to come back to that. Miss Crystal, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with the other ladies. Women, we do apologize quickly. I think that really has to do with a lot of times we're, people pleasers. We do want everyone to be happy and everyone to get along. And so I think that, with growth and learning, you have to learn how to recognize that you don't have to be sorry for everything. It's not everything is not your fault. And so I would like to kind of bring up try to make sure I understand when men say that we don't apologize, because I know that sometimes in relationships it's not that you don't apologize, you don't even recognize that you're wrong or feel that you're wrong, right? So maybe that's the issue. We don't take ownership for our role in whatever the issue is. And so from my own personal experience, I'll say that's one thing I had to work on, and just acknowledge that, maybe what I was doing was hurtful, and take ownership for it and apologize. So that's
Now,
something that sometimes I think women, we have to step back and see, make sure we're understanding what we have done or said may have been hurtful to the man, and recognize it. So we have to take ownership for it. So
now, I think the carpenter would say, you hit the nail on the head. Because actually, absolutely, that's how sometimes men feel, is that you don't even take responsibility. You said something that, oftentimes you ladies can say something that will hit a man below the belt. I mean, a man would rather you punch him in his face rather than to say what you said. And oftentimes that's because, women don't want to be physical. And you realize, like, I ain't gotta hit you, man. But you call yourself a what? And by the time you done finished, you done cut his self-esteem into shredded lettuce. And then you don't come back and say anything about it. And so absolutely, Crystal, you hit it right on the head. You hit it out of the block. That's how a lot of men feel. Now, Miss Tanya, you said something I want to go back to, and then I'm gonna actually talk about the 5 languages of apology, and the fact that, and I'll let you think about this one, a lot of men express the fact that ladies in a relationship, whether married or whether dating, don't forget nothing. You made a mistake, you're going to be reminded of that mistake for the rest of your life anytime a situation comes up or a conflict comes up. So I want you to think about that when we'll come back to it. But Miss Tanya, you said something about sometimes ladies will apologize to feel loved. Now, as a man, I think that might throw us off. If you don't think that you owe us apology, but you give us apology, and so now we think you did something that you shouldn't have did, is that fair to us?
Think there's times when women, we take on a lot, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes in certain situations, the apology, not saying that the apology can't come from us, it will come from us, right? But it's, we run on a lot of emotions, a lot. Okay, we run on a lot, and I'm sure the men know that. The time for the guy to apologize or the other partner to apologize, we are so quickly to apologize to when I say to feel love is like, okay, let me apologize and then he may love me more, right? But you're not really in the wrong. Okay. So it's almost like an emotional battle. All right. If you analyze what happened, sometimes the apology should be coming from the men and not from you, right? Just like the word sorry, sometimes we overuse the word sorry. Like you can say excuse me, but not sorry, because it's a major difference, right? Are you sorry for moving the cup? Or you want to say excuse me. So sometimes or emotions, it gets a little mixed. The apology should be coming from the other party, but we are ready to apologize, but sometimes too quickly.
All right. Thank you for that clarification and bringing that up of saying I'm sorry. I think that will take us right into the 5 languages of apology by Dr. Gary Chapman. And he says that there are 5 ways that we express or expect an apology. And that is by expressing regret, which says, I apologize simply, or accepting responsibility, as Miss Crystal said, is I was wrong. Just right out, I take the responsibility for it. Making restitution. What can I do to make up? And then genuinely repenting. I'll try not to do that again. And so you don't repeat the behavior. And typically you'll identify and name that behavior and say, I won't do that behavior again. And then finally, just requesting forgiveness of saying, will you please forgive me? Ladies, how do you feel about the 5 languages of apology? And if you don't mind, do you know what yours is? We'll start off with Miss Danielle.
Definitely will take responsibility for my actions. If I was wrong, I will say, I was wrong, and basically ask in terms of restitution, or ask the person what would they want me to do, because sometimes the way I may express my emotions towards what I did may not be acceptable. So I would ask, what would be an acceptable punishment. for the infraction or whatever. So definitely, I will take responsibility when I'm wrong.
All right, Miss Tanya.
Same here. I'll take responsibility for when I'm wrong and also apologize. But I also go to the fact like it's good to say, "Will you forgive me?" You just want to hear it from the other party because you can apologize, but has the person forgiven you? So it's important that you go to that extent. So when you're in the wrong, the first protocol and the languages that you just went over, they're really detailed and I can learn a lot from them. So apologizing and also asking, "Will you forgive me?" It's really, really important. But most importantly is taking, standing up for, okay, I am wrong and I need to apologize. So accept what you've done wrong and then apologize. So it's really, really important.
All right, it looks like I lost you for Miss Tanya. So we'll go to Miss Crystal.
Yes, like I mentioned before, it's a lesson I think that I've learned and I've worked on, and so yeah, taking responsibility is definitely important. And to the asking for forgiveness, I think that piece is really important, asking for that, because you can find that if that person doesn't forgive you, it's going to be a reoccurring topic that comes up, again and again. I think you mentioned that earlier. Like, what are those things that you keep bringing up? We move past it, but you still stuck. So there is a point in time where you have to say, okay, what do we need to do, or what can I do for us to work through this, so that you can find it in your heart to forgive me, and we can move past this and not keep addressing the same issue.
Wonderful. I'm going to take a moment for all of our Facebook listeners and watchers and those on YouTube. Go ahead and put in the comments, what is your apology language? What do you want that person who's offended you to say? Do you want them to say, "I apologize"? Do you want them to take responsibility? Do you want them to say, "What can I do to fix it"? Do you want them to say, "I'll try not to do it again"? Or do you just want them to say, "Will you please forgive me"? Go ahead and put it in the comments. And as Renee would say, go ahead and put some black hearts and white hearts in those comments if you're enjoying the conversation. And if you have a question you want Pastor Jeff to ask, go ahead and put it in the conversation in the comments, and we might get that in the conversation. Ladies, I have a question for you, since each of you are single and you said single ladies have more fun. I don't know, maybe I've been listening to Beyonce. I don't know. But this is the question. What is the perfect first date? What does it look like? What does it sound like? And how does it make you feel? 3 questions. What does it look like? What does it sound like? And how does it make you feel? Miss Crystal, I see that big, pretty smile. You already thinking about that perfect first date. Who knows? It might turn into a wedding proposal. What does it look like, sound like, and how does it make you feel, Miss Crystal?
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty simple. I like a man who's a romantic, so I would definitely say, if he takes me to a nice dinner, have good conversation. Um, what were the questions? What does it look like, and what does it sound like?
It was, what does it look like? What does it sound like? And how does it make you feel?
Okay. Um, as far as how what it sounds like, I love music, so we need to have some kind of music in the background. If it's something that he put on, or if it's we go to a restaurant where live music is being played, that would be a perfect date for me. And then it just needs to make me feel special. He needs to make me feel special, and like I'm important, the most important thing to him. So that's it.
And let me get a little more in depth. So to make you feel special, what does that gentleman do? What does he do to make you feel special? Tell me
Yeah,
something that he says, and tell me something that he does that you will interpret that as he believes that you're special.
yeah. It would have to be something thoughtful, something that he thought of that uh, is specific to me. Something that not every other girl wants, but that's something that is specific to something that I like. If it's bringing me my favorite flowers, or I mentioned the music, maybe taking me to see someone that I've been looking forward to seeing. Those are kind of things that something that I love, and he thought about it and put some effort into it.
Okay. Now my question as a gentleman, if it's a first date, how long did he have to wait to get the
Oh,
first date?
okay. So first date, you're right. All right. So on the first date, oh, I guess that would just have to be he'd have to come with something that yeah, for me it'd probably just be flowers, or a small gift or something, just saying, hey, you know, I like you a little bit. I don't know. Or it could be now, the first date, I'm assuming we've had a conversation, right? So he has to know something about me. Is
All
that
right.
true?
So
Or
so
yeah.
he's on the first date, you're looking to see if he has paid attention to what you've been dropping when you have those conversations. Or
Yeah,
has his
just something
mind
small.
something small? All right,
Yeah.
all right, I got you. Miss Danielle, what does that first date look like? What does it sound like? And how does it make you feel?
Absolutely. The first date, it doesn't have to be extravagant. It could be simple dinner. I like lounges. I don't like loud music. So, something somewhere we can be listening to smooth jazz, um, nice scenery. I like the beach. I live in Florida, hence I live in Florida. So, and the first date doesn't have to be. It could be a walk on the beach. I like sunrise and sunset. So, um, the most important thing to me on the first date is feeling the chemistry. Be able to pay attention to me, be attentive, not on your phone, and really paying attention to our conversation and having good conversation. So doing something that we both enjoy, whether it's a walk on the beach or a glass of wine or just somewhere listening to music, but definitely great conversation and be able to connect with the person.
In that same vein, what would be an immediate turn off? And since you were speaking last, Miss Danielle, what's going to be an immediate turn off? Did you like, nah, there will not be a second date?
Um, Again, but sometimes you talking to someone on the phone, they may sound like they can hold a conversation, but when you in front of them, they can't talk. Um, it's as if they are, lost for words, inability to communicate, and not paying attention. And of course, like Crystal said, if I had dropped hints and for you not to pay any attention to the details I may have given you, the way you dress, um, I'm not shallow, but I really like a clean, good appearance man. So if you come unshaved and wrinkled clothes, I like a clean man, clean and smell good. So if you don't smell good, you're not clean. Yeah, that's a total turn off. I wouldn't say wouldn't give you a second chance. We'd have a conversation, see what I like, and see, on the second date if he, comes up, if he gets it. But yeah, not smelling good and not properly dressed.
All right. Don't come when you just finished working on the car, didn't wash up, you got grease all over you, and you haven't taken a bath for a week, and you don't know what cologne is. As Danielle
Yeah.
said, don't bother to show up. Miss Crystal, what's a definite no for the second date for you?
Yeah, well, I'm with Daniela on the, definitely you don't, yeah, smell good and come dressed properly. But also for me is, how you treating other people, how you treating the people that are serving us, that's important as well. So if you're, if I can tell you don't treat other people with respect, that would be a definite turn off for me.
All right. Ladies, I want you to give us a little insight on three questions that you think are difficult for women to ask men? Because Pastor just might use these questions on our barbershop conversations with the men on Fridays, where, of course, we only allow the men to talk. But what are 3 questions that you believe are difficult, or even that women are afraid to ask a man? Crystal, I see your wheels turning in your brains. So what's the first question? How about you can answer the first question, and then we'll go to Miss Danielle. Let your wheels turn a little more, and you come back to you for the second, and we'll go back and forth until we get to the 3. How's that?
Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, because they were turning. I don't know. It's difficult. That's actually difficult for me to come up with. I think for the most part, if you're someone who's able to communicate, I don't really think there's anything that's too difficult for me to ask. I think there's a time that's appropriate to ask certain questions, depending on where you're at. Now, the first date, maybe, I don't know. I don't know how deep you go in the first date. You're not really asking a lot of real personal questions. You're just trying to get to know the person. So, I don't know, Pastor Jeff. You might have to come back to me on that one. I can't really think of anything.
All right, we'll go to Danielle. What's a difficult or hard or even a question that ladies are afraid to ask a man? You're on mute.
Is that on the first date or overall?
Just in period, but we'll stick with the first date. The question would be hard
Okay.
to ask on the first date.
Like on the first date, you're basically trying to feel the person to see if it's someone you even connected with. So, I remember I had met someone online, and our first date, they have a son. So I did ask, what your relationship looks like with the mother. So I don't know if you would consider that hard or, on the first date, you wouldn't be asking a lot of hard questions. You're just trying to feel the person out. So I think you would want to make the person feel at ease and not dig deep, into their personal life until you decide, to go further with the person.
All right, so let's move it. You have gone on several dates, and he is enjoying the dates, but it doesn't seem like he wants to make any commitment yet. And you feel like, you actually like to become exclusive. So at that point, what's a hard question you're going to ask him? Miss Crystal, he's taking too long. You're ready to go exclusive. What are you going to ask him on this fourth date?
Yeah, so I would want to know, has he ever been incarcerated? That would be a hard question, probably. I would definitely want to know that.
All right. He says, yes, I've been incarcerated, but I paid my dues to society. I learned my lesson. And Romans 8:28, because I'm a God-fearing man now, it's all working out for God's good, and it's worked out for my good. Is that going to be an issue in our relationship?
It depends on what he went to jail for. That's going to matter.
All right, that's good. That's fair enough. I heard you all of that, but what was your info? I got you. Miss Danielle, you're ready to go exclusive. You're on the 4th date. We'll say we at the 4th date, and we're not beating around the bush. You like him, he likes you, and you want to become exclusive. Ready to be free, but not footloose. What is the question you're going to ask?
Definitely would. So I would bring up, the topic as, hey, we've been on so many dates. What are your intentions? Do you want to just date casually, or do you want to take this to the next level? And what would that look like for him? The expectations.
All right, now Pastor Jeff is going to get into the deeper questions here. before we close? Because that's what Pastor Jeff does. All right, we're at a fourth date. Most men, by the time they get to the fourth date, they've already brought up the subject of sex. It's probably come up at the second date. He may be a gentleman the first date and not bring it up the second date. He may hint around it by the fourth date. That's strong on his mind. Ladies, how you handle that? Miss Danielle, we'll go to you first, then we'll go to Miss Crystal.
I would think in the initial conversations, that would have been settled whether I would engage in premarital sex or not. I don't think it would take 4 dates to let the person know this is where I stand when it comes to sexual activity with someone I'm not married to. So I think that would be very early on that we would establish that, because and it's probably on their mind on the first date. So
is that something you bring up, or is that something you wait for him to bring up?
I would bring that up.
Okay, all right. And I see Miss Tanya is back with us. Did you hear the question, Miss Tanya?
The question is regards to sex on the first date.
No, the question the question is that you have gone on 3 dates, and now you feel that you want to become exclusive. He hasn't said anything about becoming exclusive, and so we asked then, what do you say? And then the follow-up question was, at the fourth date, the conversation about sex comes up. Who brings it up first? Do you bring it up first? Does he bring it up first? And what's that conversation at like on the fourth date?
Question will come from my date, right? On the fourth date. And my conversation will be just like Danielle. Anything before marriage is not honorable for me. And that's my belief. So, because not everyone will have that belief, right? So I'll explain to him that, until we get married, we can get on the right track in that area. So the premarital sex would not work for me.
All right. And before we go to Miss Crystal, what about it? We want to go to the audience, those of you on Facebook and those of you on YouTube. How about you? You're at the fourth date. Who brings up the conversation of sex first? Is it you or is it your date? And let us know if you're a male or a female. We won't try to assume just by your name, because we have a good friend, a gentleman. His name is Renee, and we know this is sponsored by Renee North. So let us know you're male or female and who brings up the subject of sex first. And then what's the response? Those two. Who brings it up and what's the response? Miss Crystal, we're going to go ahead and go to you.
Yeah, well, it would not be me who brings it up. And like Daniela, it would definitely be a conversation that we would establish where I stand in the beginning of our relationship. So yeah, it would be early on, and I would probably not be the one to bring it up.
So ladies, is it a conversation the man can bring up on the first date, or is that a red flag?
I don't think that's a red flag. That's who the person is. They want to know how soon they can get it. Some men are very upfront and honest. So I don't think that,
Miss Daniel says, he can ask how soon he can get it, and I can tell him as soon as he can put a ring on it. All right, Miss Daniel. Miss Crystal, how about you?
Yeah, that's a red flag. On the first date, if that's the first thing on your mind, then yeah, that's a red flag for me. So yeah, that's just how I feel about it now.
All right, fair enough. And Miss Tanya?
Definitely a red flag for me.
Red flag on the first date.
Red flag on the first date.
All right. So for men who are learning about the women, when should it come up? Miss Danielle, you already said he's okay on the first date because you're going to tell him right away. So, Miss Crystal, when should it come up?
I would say definitely after a few dates, maybe a month or two, um, we for him to just bring it up right away in the early stages, I think that's yeah, it's definitely a red flag. So I'd say probably a month or two in, could be a discussion.
All right, a month or two into the discussion. All right, I hope you ladies are going to be around on Friday so you can hear how the men think. Because I'm just telling you, married or single, I don't think men want to wait 2 months to talk about it. Y'all know they say we think about it all of the time. Every 7 seconds, somebody said men think about sex, and that's just what it is. That's what we think about. Uh, and it doesn't mean that we disrespect you. It just means what we think about. Miss Tanya, how about you? When's the best time for the gentleman to bring it up while you're dating?
They're gonna call me a grandma. So definitely 2 months in, 2, 3 months.
All right, 2 or 3 months in. All right, now, ladies, I'm just going to tell you from a man's perspective here. Even if I was dating, I mean, if I was single and I was dating, of course, I'm not single. I think a man wants to know up front. Now, we say that men look for two types of women: the ones that they play with and the ones that they marry. The ones that they want to play house, and then the ones that they actually want to build a home with. And we try to pretty much determine that early on. And so we want to know from you, which one do you want to be? And some men, they don't want to wait 2 months, 3 months, 4 months for you to tell them that I'm waiting until I get married, because they're not ready to get married. And so now they think they've wasted all of their time and their energy with you, because you knew from the beginning that they wasn't going to get done until they put a ring on it. And they ain't thinking about putting a ring on it. So in all fairness to the men, do you think that it's okay for the conversation to come up maybe after the first date? I can understand a man being a gentleman and waiting to see if you're going to bring it up. If you don't bring it up, there's so many other things that you can talk about, but can he bring it up later? Because he may be willing to go along with that, but he may be wanting to know where you at. Are you going to play house with him and he's okay to play house, or do you want to build a home? Miss Danielle.
Um, I'm at the point in my life where I have no time to waste, no games. So definitely being upfront about everything. I am not looking for a playmate. So my next relationship needs to be a solid relationship, not just someone that I'm playing with. So definitely upfront, that would be discussed. Maybe after the first date. If To me, yeah. Based on where the person wants to take the relationship, I think you probably need to have it before you even meet them. Depends how you meet the person. If it's someone I meet online, definitely I would have that conversation before I go and meet you, because I do not want to waste my time.
Good point. Good point. Lady Tanya, how about you?
I think if we're playing house, I may not even get into the house. So if we're playing house, after a while you may not get into the house. So, you know, my aunts, my mom, my grandma always taught me you are the prize, right? So if you are valuable, he really loves you, he'll wait. Okay? There's a lot of time. So playing house wouldn't work for me.
All right, Miss Crystal.
Well, Pastor Jeff, this is where I would have one of those questions for the men. And what type of woman does that say that I am? If I let you have something on the first date, and is that the type of woman you want to marry? So that would be the question I would say. So, to we need an answer right away. Does that, um, you know, change his decision on the type of woman he thinks I am?
Well, of course, that is going to be in the eye of the man, as they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But typically, Men are looking for a woman that they can say is a lady. They're a woman that they don't think that a whole lot of other men have been with. So if you want to say yes on the first date, and here Miss Tanya said it, and Miss Danielle, you get to a certain age that you don't have time for games. And as we talk about the relationships, let's be real about it. Some folks are still learning how to get past the games. And if you haven't completely gotten out, and when you're trying to stuff out, the real answers you get if you're straightforward. Just be straight and ask a person, what are they looking for? What do they expect? And what are their values? What are their morals? Uh, are you okay with premarital sex? Are you not okay with premarital sex? Are you okay if I'm talking to you and I'm talking to and I talk to somebody else if we aren't married? We need to ask those hard questions up front so we don't waste each other's time and recognize that every man is not the same, every woman's not the same, every man's not a dog, and every woman's not a slut. We are individuals and we need to treat each other that way. Ladies, it has been an absolute pleasure, as Les Brown would say, a plum pleasing pleasure for Pastor Jeff to interview. Before we call it a night, I want to give you the opportunity to share with me one thing that you would like men to know that you don't think most men know as it relates that would make it better for them going into a relationship with a single woman. Miss Danielle, you've made it clear you don't play any games. What's the one thing you want men to know when it
So,
comes to dating?
yeah, definitely be a man of your word. If you say you're gonna show up at 9, and if you are single, you are single. If you're not single, you're not single. So be a man of your word. And it seems like no matter how old we are, we're still at the point where people are not honest. So honesty is very important to me. So definitely be a man of your word.
Thank you, Miss Danielle. What I heard you say is don't come tell me you single when you still attached, you still married, on the process of divorce. No, you're not single if you're in the process. Come back when you get divorced. That's what I heard you say, Miss Danielle. Be a man of your word. Miss Tanya, what's the one thing you want men to know that you may feel that men don't know when it comes to dating a single woman?
I'd like the significant other know that spending quality time is really important to maintaining a healthy relationship. Is that if you're spending quality time in other areas of your life and you spend quality time investing in other areas of your life in order to have a successful relationship, one, we want to make sure we're communicating really well. And the other thing is to invest time in your relationship. So spend quality time learning about each other, enjoying each other, because that will give you a lifetime relationship. I'm Tanya and I'm complete.
Thank you, Tanya. It sounds like quality time is your love language, and you want me to know. Look, you got time for that other stuff. You better take time for the queen. Absolutely. So, spending quality time and effective communication are the two things that I heard you say. Miss Crystal, with all of you ladies with the beautiful smiles, Miss Crystal, who has told us how to keep our skin looking young because they say black don't crack. Yeah, Pastor Jeff said it. Okay, what's the one thing you want men to know?
I want them to know that, communication is key. Communicate, and sometimes, you try to keep things to yourself, but I think it's important to communicate your feelings and just communicate overall. Just make sure that, if you have something in your mind that you're holding on to, it doesn't hurt to share it with her. So, communication, effective communication.
All right, what I heard you say, Miss Crystal, is that you want some effective communication. Talk to me and I'll talk to you. Sing to me and I'll sing to you. Hopefully, you got a good voice when you're singing. But if not, just sing. Talk to me. spend some time with me. I want to hear you, and I want you to hear me. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard three things that these beautiful ladies and guests would like for the opposite sex to know. Go ahead and put in the comments on Facebook or YouTube. What would you like the opposite sex to know about dating? And if you have enjoyed this segment, go ahead and put some black and white hearts in your comments, some black and white hearts in the comments. And if you have some questions you would like for Pastor Jeff to ask on next week, go ahead and put those in the comments as well. And we'll do our best to get to them. Look, you have been in the GW3 Live Business Life Lessons After Dark. We've talked about money. We've talked about health. You got some great tips for your smile, for your teeth, and you followed it up with some relationship talk, real talk about relationships from three beautiful single ladies. Now, ladies, I want you to realize this before we close it out. The statistics say that if, and I'm just going to say it this way, its statistics suggest that if every melanated woman in the United States was to marry a melanated man, there would still be 2 million melanated women without a husband. I just want you to think about that, because as you're special, men now know that they're special as well. And so we both have to value one another. This has been a wonderful conversation here at the Business Lessons After Dark, as we have talked about relationships and with our wonderful guests on today who have been transparent and real and talked to us and told us their perspective. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that the opinions of those our guests are the opinions of our guests. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of the GW3 or the Women Wealth Warriors or our board of directors. But look, we've enjoyed this conversation. We look forward to coming into your homes again on next Wednesday. And check us out on this Friday, 12 o'clock, 12:30, 12 o'clock on Clubhouse, 12:30 on these same channels, Facebook and YouTube, where we go into our Tom Ford Fridays. We got some special guests coming up for you. We're not going to tell you who they are, but you don't want to miss this top Fridays, Tom Ford Friday conversation, barbershop conversations with Pastor Jeff, where the men chop it up. Until next time, look, you have an absolutely beautiful smile. If you don't believe me, go look in the mirror, smile at yourself. I guarantee you, yourself is going to smile right back at you. Take that as God smiling on you, and go share that smile with the rest of the world on this week. God bless you. Ladies, thank you so very much. God bless you, and we hope you will be our guest again soon.